All right, a day to celebrate for San Diegans and for Aztec fans. San Diego State is in the Final Four. They will play Saturday right here on San Diego Sports 760, 3:09 Pacific. Pregame coverage will begin at 1:30. And Chris Acker, fourth-year Aztec assistant, of course, has been along for this entire ride. And, Coach, first of all, again, congratulations. I know we had you on the radio yesterday. It's still, for me, to some extent, surreal the way it played out. How do you put this into words, what has transpired here, not just over the last 24 hours, but really this entire run to the Final Four?
Well, you just sit back and embrace it all, knowing that you got a group of guys that's put in a lot of work and they deserve this moment based on the work that they put in. And you got a city that's been behind us for the most part this entire time, supporting us and hoping that we could do something this special. And so the fact that we were able to deliver is why you do it. And so you're excited about it, but you still want more.
Yeah, I think that everyone wants more. Job's not finished yet. You got 2 more wins to win a national championship. Coach, the last part of that game was, I don't know how it was for you. For us, I felt like I was going to throw up. John, completely had an out-of-body experience. I'm sure for you, everything was racing in your mind, but just what was your emotions like at the end of that game with Darion at the free throw line, knowing you need at least just one more point here to possibly punch your ticket to the Final Four? What was your whole thought process there and your emotions in that moment?
Well, in the moment when he was going to the free throw line, my first thought was, God, I hope he makes the first one.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I could take a deep breath.
Yep.
But he looked at me before he even went to the line. He said, Coach, I'm gonna make it. And so that gave me a sense of relief. And then, remembering all the free throws he shot prior to us even taking this trip, I was like, one of these has to go in. This dude put in way too much work. So when he made the second one, there was a sigh of relief. But even before he took the shot and got fouled, I saw the ball in the air, and I saw it going a little short. And so when I looked over and I heard the whistle, I was excited because I knew who was at the line, and I knew where he's from and what he's built on. So I knew we were going to have an opportunity to win the game with him at the free throw line.
Chris Acker's done an amazing job on Brian Dutcher's staff these last 4 years. He's joining us right now on John and Jim. The Aztecs are in the Final Four for the first time in school history. Coach, if you wouldn't mind, in the waning second, we didn't know if the game would continue as they looked at the clock. If there would have been time and Creighton would have been inbounding under the baseline, even enough for a tip-in, right, the .1, .2, .3 thing, I mean, that's a really scary spot to be in, right, with their 7'1" center with his wingspan. How would that play have been defended if Creighton had a chance in the final, let's say, 0.3 seconds to inbound on the baseline with a chance to win the game?
Well, we would have probably doubled him right around the rim to make that a very, very difficult catch. It would have had to been a tip-in because, when you slow it down watching the film, it looked like when it hit the floor, there might have been like 0.1 or 0.2 seconds left on the clock. So I don't think that's enough time to actually get off a shot. But let's say it was 0.4. It would have been a tip-in, so we'd have probably stacked guys around him and jumped as soon as the ball was in the air and made it a tough tip-in and hope for the best.
Coach, talk about, the way that Darion and Lamont played yesterday and the last couple games, really the whole tournament, to be honest with you. Just, in March, guard play is what everyone talks about, is what wins you games and gets you deep into the tournament. But I feel like they've taken their game to the next level here in March Madness, especially against Alabama and then against Creighton yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, they've both been extremely competitive. And, just speaking about Lamont first, if you'd have told me at the end of the game without me looking at a stat sheet that he had 18 points, I wouldn't even have believed you because we relied so heavily on what he does from a defensive standpoint that you don't even notice the big three that he hits when it's kicked out to him on an offensive rebound by Keyshot and how important that three-pointer is. In the first half when we were stagnant, him getting to his pull-up jump shot or making a three or just slicing to the rim to get a bucket. Those possessions are huge from an offensive standpoint. And then you look at Darion, I don't know why I'm surprised that he was able to do it in the NCAA tournament when you think back to our game versus New Mexico at New Mexico in that atmosphere. But to do it on this type of stage and be the guy that, stepped up when he had struggled in the Charleston game and to step up in that Furman game and play the way that he played at the end of that one and then getting into the Alabama game against the number one team in the nation and then making huge plays in this last game. I mean, it's just unbelievable what these two guys have been able to do. And like you said, March is about guards, March is about decision making, and coaches have to step back and let players make plays. And thank God these guys were able to do that.
And March is about defense, and nobody's played better defense in March than San Diego State. Chris Acker's with us, fourth-year assistant on the Mesa. The Aztecs are heading to the Final Four. I'm trying to think how to ask this. Is it extra special considering what happened 4 years ago, your first season, where the team goes 30-2, and we'll never know? This could be your second Final Four coach in 4 years. And we don't know. We'll never know that. Does that? I mean, how do you put this one in perspective, knowing that you had that team 4 years ago? Does that make it feel any different or extra validating or special, knowing that you've had a chance to do it when you didn't have a chance 3 or 4 years ago?
Well, I mean, the environment, the atmosphere, the program that Coach Fisher and Coach Dutcher has built here, and the fact that they've been around for so long, those guys that were on that team, guys prior to that had moments when you look back to, the teams that lost in the Sweet 16, those guys are all still connected with the staff that's here. And so to see Jordan Shackle on the floor
that was great
during that game, and then to get a text from Yanni and from KJ Fagan, and to have Malachi Flynn on FaceTime with Dave on the plane, just moments like that, it's just a family atmosphere. So it just really makes me feel like, we accomplished this all together. And even though there was a little bit of a blemish and that moment was erased and we'll never know, I feel like we're all sharing in the joy of this. I mean, there's over 50 players going to the Final Four that played for Coach Fisher and played for Coach Dutcher in their tenure here. Michael Cage is putting out tweets and Instagram posts about how happy he is about the success that we're having this season. So it's a collective effort, and we wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for the guys that were here before us. And so we're just happy to be a part of carrying on the legacy.
I said this at the start of our show, Coach, that I'm glad that obviously, going to the Final Four, that's amazing. But I was worried that after the Alabama game last Friday, Aztecs fans weren't going to be able to have an opportunity to fully relish in what you guys have accomplished this year, because everyone today would be like, oh, they lost to Creighton. But now, going to the Final Four, having that opportunity to kind of take a deep breath right now and look back, knowing that there's still a lot to be accomplished going forward, but to look back and see everything that this team has accomplished, how long before, you really are like, okay, we have to now get into the mindset like Florida Atlantic, Saturday in Houston, Final Four?
Well, we have one of the top 4 head coaches in the nation, and we wouldn't be able to be in this position if he didn't know how to shift gears quickly. And I think that's where, Dutch's demeanor and his personality and who he is as a leader really shines in these moments, because it starts with him. And so he's getting organized on what he needs to do to help his family get prepared for this trip. But Dutch is a killer. He's already shifted gears, and he's focused on winning the national championship. In our meeting today, he said, we got to be prepared for that championship game. So, I want to make sure we're ahead of that scout after, we potentially get this done. So, again, it starts with the leadership, and then it shifts down to the assistants, and our demeanor when we walk on the floor in practice tomorrow, that'll all, permeate through our program. And our guys, they want to do something special for the city. They want to do something that's never been done and continue to make history. So I know if we set the example, they'll follow our lead.
What was it like for you, Coach, coming back? I mean, the long day of travel after winning this remarkable game that will be remembered forever in San Diego and for San Diego State fans as well. And then you get back to campus, it's 1 a.m, and there's hundreds of Aztec fans. Everyone's celebrating what you and the team have accomplished. What is that feeling like, and knowing what's to come in Houston when you're going to walk onto a floor in a football stadium where there's going to be 70,000 people? But what did it even feel like last night to see the support?
It's just unbelievable, and it's been that way since I've been here, for one way or another. Every time, I feel like there's always these amazing accomplishments that are being getting done here. And so every time that there's something remarkable happening, you sense the energy of the entire city. And I think that's what's special about San Diego is everybody gets behind each other, from the Padres having success last season to them, putting out a tweet about the success of the Aztec program. I think that's the spirit of San Diego. So to get off a plane and be exhausted and then be pulling up and having a police escort and then getting there and seeing the fans and then being rejuvenated and remembering, like, it's an amazing feeling, but it's also a privilege to have the exhaustion that we have right now and the feeling we have, the fatigue we have, because look at all of this that we're doing this for all of these fans, for all of these people, for all of these kids that have supported this program. I got people coming up to me in the not in the airport, but in hotels and, after the game and even in the crowd saying, hey, I've been a fan for 40 years. We've been waiting for this for 40 years. So it's just a special, special moment that we've taken in. But again, like you said, there's so much more work to be done. And as Dutch always tells our guys, we can continue to get better.
Coach, congratulations. In all seriousness, just an amazing job. Again, your 4 years have been some of the best in the history of the program, the 30-2, the NCAA tournament teams, each of the last 3 years as well, and now this Final Four team in 2023. We know there's work to do, so thank you for taking the time. We'll catch up with you in Houston this weekend.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks so much. Looking forward to seeing you guys out there, and go Aztecs.